Ladies and gentlemen, we spend nearly a third of our lives in sleep, and yet for some of us the night is not a refuge but a battleground. Instead of rest, we are visited by phantoms, tormented by shadows, and pursued by fears too absurd for daylight but too dreadful for the dark. Nightmares, they slip in uninvited, unsettle our minds, and leave us waking with the sense that something is wrong, though we cannot say quite what. But why do they come? Are they mere accidents of the mind, or do they whisper of something deeper? Let us consider 7 reasons why you may keep having nightmares, though be warned, some of these reasons may be more unsettling than the dreams themselves. The human mind is much like a house. Some homes are kept in order, rooms tidy, shelves neatly arranged, everything in its place. Others, however, become cluttered with forgotten things, scattered papers, broken furniture, and long-abandoned relics. The mind, too, accumulates its own debris, and if one fails to keep it in order, chaos reigns. Nightmares, in many cases, are simply the shadows that grow in this clutter, the consequence of a mind filled with too much and settled with too little. Consider the thoughts that pass through a person in the span of a single day. There are duties to fulfill, concerns about the future, regrets about the past, unspoken words, worries left unresolved, and emotions suppressed rather than dealt with. If the waking mind is a place of unrest, why should the sleeping mind be any different? Sleep is not a place of escape, but a place of reckoning. When the body rests, the mind sets to work on what it has ignored. And if it has too much to sift through, what results is rarely peaceful. Imagine a desk piled high with papers. At some point, one cannot work effectively because there is simply too much to sort through. The same is true of the mind. If you have left too many things unprocessed, conversations that linger, decisions unmade, fears left unnamed, your dreams will be the space where all of it comes tumbling down at once. The subconscious does not forget what you would rather leave behind. It does not ignore what you refuse to face. It simply waits until you can no longer silence it. Nightmares often reveal this inner disarray. A person who has spent the day in constant stress may find their dreams filled with mazes they cannot escape, endless chases with no destination, or tasks they can never complete. A person burdened by guilt may dream of being pursued, of being judged, or of an impending doom they cannot escape. Even something as seemingly small as the unfinished thoughts of a busy day may manifest as confusion and distress in sleep. When the mind is overwhelmed, it does not bring clarity, it brings chaos. This is why nightmares tend to come in seasons. A time of turmoil in life is often matched by restless nights. A mind that has been overfed with worries, responsibilities, and unchecked emotions is a mind that cannot rest easily. The weight of all that has been left unattended must be carried somewhere, and if not in waking hours, then in sleep. The dreamer is left at the mercy of a mind desperately trying to clear what has been piling up for too long. The trouble, of course, is that in sleep the mind does not reason as it does in wakefulness. It does not simply present problems for easy resolution. Instead, it speaks in symbols and feelings, in fragmented memories and fears woven together in a way that often makes little sense, until the dreamer wakes heart pounding, breath unsteady, with a lingering sense that something is wrong. But what is wrong is not the nightmare. What is wrong is the cluttered mind that birthed it. There are few things as persistent as what has been left undone. Unfinished business does not vanish simply because we ignore it. Rather, it waits, lingering in the corners of the mind, growing heavier with time. A word left unsaid, a promise broken, a duty neglected, these are not forgotten, even if one wishes to forget them. They remain beneath the surface, unresolved, demanding attention. And when the mind is finally unguarded in sleep, these unsettled matters rise like ghosts, taking shape in nightmares that will not be dismissed so easily. A guilty conscience is a restless one, and it does not sleep even when the body does. It manifests in symbols, in anxious dreams of pursuit, judgment, or impending doom. The mind replays the past in ways that distort and exaggerate, turning simple regrets into relentless specters. A person who has betrayed a friend may find themselves dreaming of being chased, always running but never escaping. Another who has ignored their responsibilities may dream of an impossible task, one they struggle to complete, but which grows more difficult with every attempt. The dream world is a place where the unfinished business of waking life takes on a form of its own, demanding recognition in the only language the subconscious knows. The nature of these dreams is rarely direct. The mind, when troubled, does not always reveal its distress in a straightforward manner. Instead, it weaves its messages in strange and unsettling ways. A person who carries the weight of an unresolved conflict may dream of wandering through endless corridors, opening doors only to find more locked passages ahead. Someone burdened by a secret may dream of losing their voice, unable to speak as an unseen force looms ever closer. The subconscious does not forget, it simply speaks in riddles, forcing the dreamer to confront what they have refused to acknowledge. It is not only guilt that lingers in the mind, but also fear, hesitation, and all the choices never made. A life filled with unfinished stories, with paths not taken and decisions postponed, is a life where the mind never fully settles. A person who has hesitated too long on an important decision may find themselves dreaming of standing at a crossroads, unable to move forward no matter how hard they try. Another who has left too many things unsaid may dream of searching for someone in a vast and endless crowd, calling out but never being heard. These dreams are not random, they are echoes of a waking life left incomplete. Perhaps the most troubling aspect of these nightmares is that they do not fade easily. The mind will continue to send its messages until they are received. A burden unlifted does not lighten with time, it merely waits until the weight becomes unbearable. And so the dreamer is haunted, not by external forces, but by their own unfinished business, their own neglected truths. The only escape from these restless visions is to face what has been avoided, to bring closure where there has been none, and to finally silence the ghosts of the past. The mind is not an empty vessel, but a living thing, absorbing all that it encounters, shaping itself around what it is fed. What we take in through sight, sound, thought, and experience does not simply pass through us without effect. It lingers, settles, and takes root, influencing not just our waking thoughts but the quiet hours of sleep as well. It is no wonder, then, that nightmares often reflect the diet of the mind. Those who fill themselves with darkness should not be surprised when darkness follows them into their dreams. A person who constantly consumes fear will find it returning to them. The books we read, the films we watch, the stories we dwell upon, these are not merely entertainment, but invitations to the mind. A tale of horror does not disappear when the book is closed or the screen is turned off. It lingers, taking up space in the imagination, shaping the inner world. One who feeds upon stories of terror, of despair, of chaos and cruelty, will soon find their mind colored by those things, and sleep will offer no escape. The images return unbidden, reshaped into visions even stranger and more unsettling than they were in waking life. It is not only fiction that plants these seeds. The things we choose to dwell upon, our worries, our obsessions, our darkest thoughts, these too become a kind of nourishment for the mind. A person who constantly entertains thoughts of failure will find their sleep haunted by dreams of falling, of losing control, of standing before others only to be found lacking. One who spends their waking hours in anger may find their nights filled with conflict, with dreams of fights that never end, arguments that can never be won. The emotions we carry, the thoughts we refuse to let go of, they do not simply dissolve when we close our eyes. They wait, taking form in dreams, revealing themselves in symbols that are often more truthful than we would like to admit. Even the things we consume without realizing it have their effects. The endless stream of news, the constant flood of voices, the images of conflict and disaster that fill our screens, these too shape the landscape of the mind. A person who is always surrounded by noise will find it difficult to find peace, even in sleep. A mind that is never given rest, never allowed moments of silence and stillness, will struggle to settle into peaceful dreams. Instead, it will churn, restless, replaying fragments of what it has absorbed, twisting them into nightmarish visions that reflect the chaos of the day. The truth is simple but often ignored. The mind gives back what it is given. One cannot fill themselves with darkness and expect to find peace. The seeds planted in waking hours will grow in the quiet of the night, taking form in ways beyond our control. If nightmares persist, one must ask not only what they fear, but also what they have fed their mind, and whether they have been nourishing their soul or poisoning it. The body and mind are not separate kingdoms, but two halves of the same whole, each affecting the other in ways both obvious and subtle. What afflicts the body is rarely confined to the body alone. Pain, exhaustion, illness, and discomfort do not simply disappear. When one sleeps, they weave themselves into the fabric of dreams, shaping the strange and often disturbing visions of the night. A restless body leads to a restless mind, and when the body is in distress, the mind responds in the only language it knows, through images, symbols, and nightmares that reflect the turmoil within. A person suffering from physical pain may find their sleep haunted by visions of injury, of confinement, of struggle without relief. A headache might translate into a dream of crushing pressure, of walls closing in, of being trapped beneath a weight too heavy to bear. Someone feverish and weak may dream of wandering through endless deserts, desperate for water but never finding it. The body's distress does not fade when consciousness slips away. Rather, it is transformed, expressed in strange and unsettling ways that leave the dreamer waking with a sense of unease, even if they do not remember the dream itself. Exhaustion, too, plays its part in nightmares. When the body is overworked, deprived of rest, pushed beyond its limits, the mind cannot settle. The dreams that come in such a state are often frantic, filled with images of never-ending tasks, of running without reaching a destination, of being pursued but unable to escape. The mind mirrors the struggle of the body, turning physical weariness into a sense of helplessness and endless exertion. Sleep, which should be a refuge, becomes yet another trial, leaving the dreamer more fatigued upon waking than they were before they closed their eyes. Even hunger and thirst can shape dreams. The body, deprived of what it needs, sends signals that the mind interprets in strange and sometimes nightmarish ways. A person who goes to bed hungry may dream of feasting on food that crumbles to dust in their hands, or of searching for sustenance that is always just out of reach. One who sleeps dehydrated may dream of drowning in salt water, of drinking but never quenching their thirst. The needs of the body do not simply disappear in sleep. They transform, taking on forms that leave the dreamer uneasy, their subconscious whispering of what they lack. Illness, too, brings its own nightmarish visions. Fever dreams are known for their intensity, their strange, vivid images that shift between the real and the impossible. A sick body leads to a troubled mind, and the dreams that arise from illness often carry an unsettling quality, as if the boundary between dream and reality has blurred. The discomfort of the body shapes the experience of sleep, making rest fitful and uneasy, filling the night with strange visions that linger even after waking. The body speaks, and the mind listens, responding in the only way it knows how, with dreams that reflect the distress within. The human soul is not a place of perfect peace, but a battlefield where opposing forces wage war. Every person carries within them contradictions, desires that clash, beliefs that falter, fears that wrestle against reason. These conflicts do not disappear simply because they are ignored. They remain pressing against the edges of consciousness, waiting for a moment of vulnerability to reveal themselves. And so, when the waking mind is too busy, too distracted, too unwilling to face them, they come alive in dreams. Nightmares, in many cases, are not the work of some external terror, but the voice of the self, crying out for recognition. A person torn between duty and desire may dream of standing at a fork in the road, unable to choose a path. A mind burdened by guilt may conjure visions of judgment, of faceless figures condemning them, of unseen forces dragging them toward an inevitable reckoning. The struggles of the heart and mind do not dissolve in sleep, rather they take shape in ways that cannot be ignored. The dream world becomes the only place where the battle can be fought, where the truths we suppress demand to be seen. Some conflicts are moral in nature. The knowledge of having done wrong, the temptation to stray from the right path, the fear of consequence. These things manifest in dreams of pursuit, of punishment, of being exposed. A person who struggles with their own integrity may dream of being caught in a lie, of losing everything they hold dear, of standing before a crowd only to realize they are utterly unprepared. The subconscious is merciless in its honesty. It does not allow excuses, nor does it permit forgetfulness. It remembers what the waking mind tries to forget and reflects it back, distorted but unmistakable. Other conflicts are born of indecision. The fear of making the wrong choice, of stepping into the unknown, creates nightmares of paralysis, of running but never reaching a destination, of searching for something vital and never finding it. The mind mirrors the uncertainty of the soul, trapping the dreamer in endless cycles of doubt. These dreams, frustrating as they may be, serve a purpose. They reveal the conflict, forcing the dreamer to confront the weight of what they have left unresolved. Some inner struggles are older than the person themselves. The weight of expectation, the battle between who one is and who they are told they must be, these forces shape the deepest nightmares. A person who suppresses their true self may dream of masks, of being someone else, of trying to speak but finding no voice. The mind rebels against suppression, and if the truth cannot be faced in waking life, it will demand recognition in sleep. Dreams, even nightmares, are not the enemy. They are messengers, warning signs, reflections of what is hidden. When the soul is divided, when the mind is at war with itself, peace will not come until the conflict is faced. And until then, the dreams will continue, relentless, insistent, refusing to be ignored. Not everything in the mind is meant to be unearthed. Some thoughts, some memories, some fears are better left undisturbed. There are doors within us that should remain shut, sealed away for good reason, yet human curiosity and the relentless nature of the subconscious refuse to heed such warnings. Some doors, once opened, cannot be closed again, and the nightmares that slip through them are not easily silenced. The past, long buried, does not always remain beneath the soil. The things we suppress do not vanish, they lurk just beyond the surface, waiting for the moment when the mind, unguarded in sleep, dares to crack open the door. There are memories so painful, so steeped in regret or sorrow, that to relive them is to suffer them anew. And yet the mind does not forget. It remembers every wound, every loss, every moment of shame or grief. We tell ourselves we have moved on, that time has dulled the pain, that we are free of it. But the subconscious knows better. It waits until we sleep, until the distractions of the day fade away, and then it pulls us back. A face we have not seen in years appears in vivid detail. A place long left behind unfolds before us. A moment we swore we would never think of again plays out, as if it were happening all over again. In the waking world we may choose to turn away from these ghosts, but in sleep we have no such power. Some fears are best left untouched. There are questions that should not be asked, mysteries that should not be pursued. The mind is capable of creating horrors worse than anything reality could offer. To dwell too long on the unknown, to pry open doors that were never meant to be opened, is to invite terror into the deepest corners of the soul. Some who peer too far into the abyss of their own mind find themselves lost in it, their dreams turning into labyrinths of unease, their nights haunted by things they do not understand. The mind, given too much room to wander, does not always return unscathed. It is not always the past that lingers behind these doors. Sometimes it is desire, anger, or hidden impulses that we would rather not admit to ourselves. The civilized mind builds walls around its more primal urges, keeping them locked away beneath reason and restraint. But the sleeping mind does not answer to reason. It does not recognize shame or morality. It dredges up what we have hidden, forcing us to witness what we refuse to confront. The things we deny in waking life take shape in sleep, often in forms so twisted and obscure that we wake unsettled, unable to explain what we have seen. There are parts of the mind that should not be explored, doors that should never be opened. Some nightmares are not warnings, not puzzles to be solved, but simply reminders that some things are better left in the dark. And yet, once a door is opened, it is nearly impossible to close it again. The dreamer may try to wake, to shake off the visions of the night, but something always lingers. The mind, having crossed the threshold, does not forget what it has seen.